everyone, this is Matt Lopez from the Daily Trade. I'm going to go with you our TradingView charts and actually get you into the same trade and show you what it looks like from our side when we're actually trading. So this is the way I actually have my charts set up, and currently this is what I use to trade every day. So we can go through this, and I'm going to show you straight from what I start off with so you can get it the same way. First, to start out with indicators, if you have, I believe, more than 2 or 3 with TradingView, you have to pay for a subscription to add on more. And I have the Pro Plus, which is $29 a month. In the long run, it's actually worth it because you're able to add more to your charts and give you more resources to trade with. Although you can still do with a couple indicators, but I'm going to show you the full length of what I use. So to start off, we're going to look at let's go to Virgin Galactic. I'm going to have Virgin Galactic. It's a little bit easier to see on some of these indicators. So first off, we're going to start off in the top right corner. We're going to go ahead and fix the background. So we're going to pick this one right here, closest to the darkest. All right. The back, you're going to see these horizontal and vertical lines. We're going to get rid of those, actually. So we're going to get rid of that. All right, press OK. Now I already have the volume in here, but this is one of the first indicators, and I'm going to show you how to get this on. So we're going to go into the indicators tab. You're going to type out volume, and you should go ahead and start it so you can have it in the future, just in case you're loading new charts and all that. So go ahead and click volume so you can keep it, and have the default settings. Don't even touch it, just leave it. Our next indicator that we're going to be using are starting our moving averages. So you're always going to want a moving average in your charts. And we're going to go ahead and start that. I'm going to click 4 of them because we have 4 different moving averages that we always use. All right, I'm going to go ahead and customize this after. We're going to go ahead and get our next indicator, which is going to be our actual RSI. So we have that right here. All right, and then we're going to get our next indicator, which is going to be our MACD. And our second to last, we're going to have our VWAP. And then our last and final one, our pivot points. So I'm gonna go ahead and double click this so we can get rid of the bottom 2 real quick. All right, so we're gonna first off start with all of our pivot points. Our first is gonna be our 9-day moving average. This is gonna be the fastest on the chart, and it's gonna be mainly used for a lot of intraday movements so that we can also follow a line with your VWAP as well. So it's going to stay the 9-day. We're going to go ahead and change this. I'm going to change it to a nice yellow. Leave it as line. But we're also going to change this to make it look a little bit easier to see when we're on the charts. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Our second indicator, which is going to be not our 9-day, but it's going to be changing our inputs. We're going to change it to our 21-day. And these are all averages that you will see in a lot of huge trading firms, hedge funds. A lot of professional traders will use these. So we're going to go into style. I'm going to change this one to a nice blue one. Let's go ahead and change it to blue. And change it to 3 as well, the third one there, so we can see it a little bit easier. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and click OK. And then our next one, our input, we're going to go ahead and put 50. And this is huge. All right. So I'll explain in just a moment when we get to our next one why it is a huger or a bigger one to look for. So we're going to have this as a third. And I'm going to change the color for this one to an orange. In our last one, this is the biggest one. Our 200-day moving average. So the 50-day moving average and the 20-day moving average are huge indicators when it comes down to not only intraday, but the longer term, longer term view of the stock that you're looking at. These are going to indicate, huge golden crosses or death crosses. And so that's why we're going to keep them on the charts at all times. Let's go ahead and put this as a green. All right, and then I'm going to make this big here. All right. And so those are your moving averages there. I'm going to go ahead and now fix up my pivot points here. Pivot points are used, they're associated pretty much with support and resistance levels that are often used for determining the price movement in the market, either in an uptrend or a downtrend, intraday. They're mainly used for intraday, although you could use them on longer time frames. Intraday is when they're mainly used so that you can price out your movements. But if you're looking on longer time frames, it's going to point out where you're at exactly in an uptrend or a downtrend. And that's based off your main pivot point here. And so I'm going to go in and start editing this. So inputs, leave alone. Although if you want to and you don't want to see the extra data from the previous days, you can go ahead and unclick show historical points. That's a huge one. Don't mess with this. You're fine. So let's go ahead and take this off so we can just focus on one real quick. Let me edit this. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this to the way I like it. My main pivot point, my mid pivot point, as I like to say, it's going to be my yellow. I'm going to go ahead and make it a 3 again. Most of the stuff I add on here is usually a 3. Makes it a lot easier to view. My other pivot points are going to be they're going to be white. They're going to be all white. Okay. And those are also going to be 3s on there. Great. So those are all 3s, and those are good to look at. All right, and then our last one is our VWAP. VWAP is going to be used for pretty much determining where your price action is in the day and figuring out where the buying and selling is going to be happening. So a lot of huge, you're going to notice that large institutional buyers and mutual funds use the VWAP to actually help them in and out of price movements in stock. And they're gonna try and buy right when it hits it or sell right when it hits it, and it determines where you're at in the intraday. And they're mainly using it for intraday movements. So this is a huge indicator when it comes down to everything. Usually I'll start using this. I'll use a custom color, but you can use this one right here just for now. Go in and put the third highest one right there. I'm going to go to make this a little bit easier to see, so I'm going to use it as a cross. And this will make it look easier in intraday. And one of the main things with VWAP is that it will, most of the time, determine where we're moving at with the rest of the day. And this is determining, and you'll see this a lot, is when it crosses over, we're in a bullish area. When we're crossing down, we're in a bearish area. So, pretty much with Virgin Galactic here, we're able to see a nice break of VWAP and continue with volume, which determines a movement with the 9-day moving average here, that we're in a bullish territory and we're able to move with the 9-day moving average, which is the fastest, obviously. And so crossing all these indicators here in this area, which we would determine as a squeeze, as it would have to figure out which price it's going to move either up or down. It's going to determine the price action at this little cross section, and it's going to have to determine it in this area, which it's a squeeze, which will make it either go up or down in a huge way. So seeing that it was bullish, it was able to cross on the indicators perfectly and make it as a bullish trend here. So this is what we use the indicators for. And then you can also see that your first area of resistance was obviously the main pivot point here, and it got to that area, moving with the 9-day moving average. And using these indicators, you're also able to determine, is it right for me to sell? Is it right for me to buy at this area? Instead of just, guessing your price action throughout the day or saying, oh, let me buy at the lows and let me buy at the highs. it's not always the right choice, because you could always be, you know, buying at the wrong times and selling at the wrong times. Your volume is also a big one, because you're also trying to determine where you're going to break out at. And if it's a false breakout, if it's a right breakout. This one had volume, but it didn't stay over. So that was a false breakout. And the second, you were able to see that on the second because it didn't have enough volume either. This one had the volume when it broke out, and it stayed over with on the 9-day moving average. So you're able to see that easily, and you're able to indicate, all right, it's a good time to get in. But most likely on the breakouts, you're going to see a nice little slant of retracement back to your indicators. And that's most of the time where people will be like, all right, it broke out, I'm getting in right here. And then they get sad and sell because they see it go down right here, right after, you know, they get in. So you just have to follow the indicators and allow it to guide you in the right direction. But you also can't take it 100%, because they're not always true to the fact. So you just have to make sure to use them to your best ability. And they're very useful when you get to know them. There's a lot of different resources, you know, that we provide, and that you can also YouTube and check out, that'll provide you insight on, you know, what these indicators are for. And we're also going to use the bottom indicators here, which I double clicked to actually get them out. And what I'm going to do is actually fix them up. So I'm going to go here, press on the settings. What I like to do is get my RSI. I like to have it as a nice white color. And then the background, I usually like to have it as a gray. All right, and then the lower band, I'll keep it as a green, because that's your support area. Put it as a 3 again. Your upper band is going to be a red, because that's a huge area of resistance, and trying to tell you, you know, if you're overbought or oversold. Oh, sorry, let me check this real quick. I actually have it gray and yellow. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm also going to change this right here to a 3 so I can view it bigger. All right, and the background is still gray. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit brighter. I'll make it just the white then. All right, so, and you're always going to keep these the same, 70 and 30s. Those are pretty much telling you where you're at, and that's where, so 70 is usually where it's overbought, and that's where you don't want to keep buying at this area. And it depends too. You have to look at all the indicators, use all your resources. You can't just trust on one of your indicators. That's going to throw you off, and you're going to get frustrated with that. So most analysts will pretty much use the 70 area to actually determine when it's, you know, the right time to sell, or not to buy anymore. And the same with the 30. You're not going to, you know, sell anymore at this area. This is probably a time to start buying. So you're going to see this as an opportunity and use these indicators to your advantage. And then your MACD is pretty much your volume, telling you, you know, pretty much what you're going to be using. And the crossovers, they're going to tell you, all right, this is an area that we can pick up some volume. And then we can also pick up, you know, the buying area volume and the selling area volume. And then indicators will also tell you in areas that, you know, we're going to see a drop in volume or change in direction. So these are what I use on the daily. It would be awesome to see many people in the daily trade use it, so that you guys can take it to your advantage and help yourself become more successful in trading, as well as seeing that, you know, this is going to be a huge resource, and you guys can always customize this to the best of, you know, what you want it to be. You can always, you know, take off some of these indicators throughout the day. I don't use them all throughout the day. I just look at them and I use them to what I can. But you don't have to have them all up as once, because obviously you need to chart out some other stuff like support and resistance areas, because there's more to support and resistance than just the pivot points. There's obviously some support and resistance in between that maybe you want to take profit at, or, you know, buy some more at. So there's all these different ways to look at it. But you don't want to rely on just indicators in general. You also want to use some other, you know, technical analysis. So I want to thank you all for tuning in and actually joining me to view the charts, and I hope you all use this in the future, and this will help you become, you know, a better trader and utilizing your resources to your advantage. All right, thank you and have a good day, guys.